What I wanted to talk about today was do a bit of a deep dive into how a website actually loads. So what I have here is an example website. We have my personal blog and we've got the About Me page. So what I wanted to do was have a look at how do we take this URL and actually serve data over the network to the point where we now have an actual About Me page on the browser. How does that data actually arrive in the browser and how does it know what to fetch? So to start with, what we can look at is the actual URL. So I've put the URL over here. Now, what this URL is it's actually what's called a URI. Here's the Wikipedia page. So it's a Uniform Resource Identifier. And a URI is broken into pieces. There's a bunch of examples here. What you have is the URI scheme. You have the authority, which in this case is the host name. jtucky.name is the host name. And then we have the path, which is the /about page. So with this URI, it effectively is like an addressing scheme. So what we say is, what do we want to load? The about page. From whom do we want to load it? The jtucky.name host. And how do we want to load it? And we're looking at using HTTPS. So HTTP transport on a secure transport. So with this scheme, we can actually know how to load the page. But how does all that work? Well, let's have a look. So we discussed that we have this URI. And what we have first here is the scheme, and this is the first important part of our URI. So the scheme describes what the protocol is we're loading, and the protocol, tells us things like what is the transport type and what's the port we're going to be loading on. So here, our scheme is HTTPS, and we can find this Wikipedia page with a list of URI schemes. So let's have a look through this Wikipedia page. I'll scroll very quickly down to H, and we have HTTPS. So what we are looking at here is HTTPS, and I've opened the page for HTTPS here, and you can see that it is HTTP data served over TLS or over SSL. At this point, no one uses SSL anymore, so it's always going to be served over TLS. And in this case, we are looking at TCP transmission protocol as the transport scheme for this. There is work to deliver HTTPS content over UDP, but at the moment that work isn't going to be in place on this website. So we're looking at TCP transmission on port 443.